Sup nerds, here's my purple base LordKnightmon X deck profile. Starting off with our Tama, we are running 4 BT6 Sunamon. Your turn once per turn when you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects, trigger draw 1. This is by far the best Tama to play in this deck. Keeps you from going minus in your hand when you're triggering all of your discard effects. Boost consistency, all that, yada yada. And for our rookies, we're playing 4 Goblimon from BT14. The inheritable is your turn once per turn when one of your effects trashes a card in your hand, gain 1 memory. Very good for turboing up into our stacks for sometimes free, sometimes just, 1 or 2 memory. This is the ideal one you want to have in your raising area, and we're actually playing a 5th copy effectively. The inheritable for Labramon from EX5 is your turn once per turn when an effect plays one of your Digimon, gain 1 memory, which is functionally the same thing in a lot of scenarios, but it does have an on play. By trashing 1 card in your hand, you may return 1 Digimon card with the Dark Animal or Shaman trait from your trash to your hand. Spoilers, that's basically the entire engine of the deck, including your one of Anubismon if it happens to get checked out of security or whatever. So really nice being able to recycle that card. Then we are playing a 1 of Gabu X from EX5. He does Evo on top of Sunamon for 0, which is another reason why this is the best Tama to play in this deck. So you can pay 1 if you want, if you're like trying to choke your opponent to 1 or something, but you don't have to. On play / when digivolving, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 2 cards with Garurumon or X Antibody and their names among them to the hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck. If you added a card, trash 1 card in your hand. So obviously we're not playing any Garu cards in this deck, spoilers, but this does add a lot of our pieces, including our protoforms, which this card is actually the only card in the deck that can search protoform out of the deck besides just hard drawing it. So that's why we're playing it. The inheritable is irrelevant because we're not playing any Garu or Omnis in this deck, so we're just not even going to mention that. And then onto our floodgates, we're playing 2 Gazimon from BT3. All turns, your opponent can't gain memory except tamer effects. Really good when you can choke your opponent to 1 and just force them to deal with your board with 1 memory with no way to gain memory. Even if they have a bunch of memory boost set up and stuff, it's not going to do them any good. And then we are also playing 2 Psychmon from BT8. All turns, players can't reduce play cost. The only thing that this keeps you from doing in your deck is Anubismon, and we are playing a Death X, spoilers, but you can easily turn this off by evoing on top of it, or just crashing it into something, but this basically never affects you as long as you're playing correctly. But this keeps you from getting Death X. If you like pop off on your opponent but you can't kill them, you can play this to pass turn to keep your opponent from just being able to Death X you for free and just blow you out. Also, if you play against Digicross decks, obviously this just doo-doos on them, but these are the only 2 floodgates that purple actually has access to, so that's why we're playing them. And then we are also playing 2 more floodgates. We're playing 2 Pillamons from BT9. All turns, players can't play Digimon by effects. Purple doesn't have access to one of these guys, so I tossed a couple of my Pillamons in here. You can just hard drop this, or you can actually recur this out of the trash with BT19 LordKnightmon, which is the primary way I put this on the field. Really good to be able to do this because, like, on your turn you can crash this into security or into one of your opponent's Digimon, pop off on your opponent, and then you can evo into BT19 LordKnightmon, play it back out, and be like, hey, you're not gonna be able to do unfair stuff on your turn. Really good into Leviamon decks, the Mirror, Lucamon, all kinds of stuff like that. So I did want to throw 2 of these in here, and that is it. We were playing 12 rookies, technically just 10 that we can evo on top of though. And for our champions, we were playing 4 Doberman X from EX5. It does evo on top of Doberman for 0, but we're actually not even playing any of those. On play, one of your Digimon gains Retail until the end of your opponent's turn. It doesn't come up very often, but you can randomly just like give one of your dudes Retail and just like crash into your opponent's Digimon to get it off the field. When Digivolving, draw 1, then trash 1 card in your hand, and then if Doberman or X Antibodies in this Digimon's sources, activate this Digimon's on play, so it'll give one of your Digimon Retail. We are playing Protoform, so you can trigger that effect in addition to evoing into it for 1 fewer. And the inheritable is your turn once per turn when an effect plays one of your Digimon, gain 1 memory. That's really good. Our level 5s and our level 6s play Digimon by effects, so we're able to gain a memory back from just evoing into them or triggering that effect. Then we're playing 2 Ogremon from BT14. Your turn once per turn, one of your effects trashes a card in your hand, gain 1 memory. And then the inheritable is your turn once per turn, when one of your effects trashes a card in your hand, gain 1 memory, so it's the same effect. Really cool because you can actually trigger this effect and then Evo on top of it trigger this one. Basically, you're like popping off on your opponent if you ever get a chance to do both of those in one turn like that, but it can happen. These are the primary guys you want in your stack when you're Evoing up, so we are playing 6 of these. The inheritable is functionally the same thing most of the time, so that's why we're doing that. And then onto our techs, we are playing 2 Black Gatomon Oovers from RB1. It is a security Digimon, which is kind of cool. Getting a free body randomly is always nice, unless your opponent has a Biting Crush set up, then you kind of get blown out. On play, by returning 1 Digimon card from your opponent's trash to the bottom of the deck, draw 1. This is in here for a couple of reasons. The primary one is it bot decks Purple Hybrid's Velgramon, so they cannot Evo out of their trash for free if they Evo into Duskmon and swing at you. You can just play this back by one of your effects, or just hard play it, bot deck their Velgar, draw a card, force them to put one back in trash, or draw into another one if they only had the one. It is also really good for bot decking like Leviamons if your opponent has a Biting Crush set up or something like that, or just any kind of pieces if your opponent abuses their trash in any way. This is really good at disrupting that. It's basically like a baby paladin mode, or I guess like a merciful mode. Also, it bot decks Unga Bunga against 7 Great Demon Lords. Keep them from doing that to you. I will say, so the security effect, at the end of the battle, it plays it without paying the cost. Because your opponent has turn player priority, when this hits the field, if they have a Biting Crush and a Leviamon setup, they can actually trigger their Biting Crush first to play their Leviamon to pop this before it gets a chance to trigger its effect, just for those of you that don't know. So that's why it doesn't beat Biting Crush at a security. It only does it when you're the turn player. That way you turn player prior, bot deck their Levi, and then their Biting Crush doesn't do anything. Just something to keep in mind. And then we are playing 2 BT19 Deltamon. It does Evo for 3 on most of our Digimon, but it can Evo for 2 on top of our Gazimons, which is nice. On play / when Digivolving / on deletion, not once per turn, by trashing 1 card in your hand, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. This is our primary way to out Floodgates. If Floodgates become super prevalent in the meta, I will actually end up bumping this up to at least 3, just to consistently out them. But currently 2 is fine. As the meta settles though, I could see myself bumping this up to at least 3. And the inheritable is Blocker. This is one of the random cards that gives you a little bit of defense in this deck. And that is it. We're just playing 10 champions. On to our ultimates. We are playing 2 Cerberusmon from BT16. On play / when Digivolving, you may return 1 Digimon card with the Dark Animal or Shaman trait from your trash to your hand. This is basically the same thing as the Labramon. It recycles all of our pieces. This is a Dark Animal. This is Dark Animal, though you would probably never want to put that back in your hand. This is a Dark Animal. He himself is a Dark Animal, so you can recycle himself without effect, like you can recycle the second one, I should say. And then spoilers, we are playing Cerberus X as well as Anubis, obviously, and it recycles both of those. And then the inheritable is really good. Your turn once per turn, when an effect plays one of your Digimon gains Rush for the turn. It's unfortunate this is mandatory, because let's say you go into this guy and then Evo into this guy, you will play a rookie back, and you would have to trigger the mandatory inheritable to give one of your Digimon Rush at that point. But you can like set yourself up to where what you actually want to swing with is on the field before you trigger this. And then we are playing 4 Cerberusmon X Antibody from EX5. Does Evo on top of Cerberusmon for 0 without X Antibody, so it can't Evo on top of itself, unfortunately. Otherwise it Evos for 3 or 2 if you have Protoform in your hand. On play, you may play 1 purple level 3 Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. I do really appreciate that that is an optional effect. Having played into decks with Biting Crushes and whatnot, you don't want to give them that effect for free if you can avoid it. Then when Digivolving, draw 1, then trash 1 card in your hand. If a Digimon card with Cerberusmon in its name or X Antibody is in this Digimon's sources, activate this Digimon's on play. So you draw 1, trash 1, and then play a purple level 3, or you may play purple level 3 if you can get both effects, which a lot of the times in this deck you will get both effects. That's kind of the primary strategy. And the inheritable is, I would say, by far the best part of this card. When attacking once per turn by deleting one of your other Digimon, unsuspend this Digimon. This lets us swing for 4 checks potentially with our LordKnightmon X. Really insane. This is the big reason why this deck is so aggro. I mean, once they pop off once, you're practically dead. And then we are also playing 2 Lady Dev X from EX7. On play / when Digivolving, until the end of your opponent's turn, give one of their Digimon Digimon, end of attack, delete this Digimon. That is really good at keeping your opponent from aggroing you. And then if Lady Devimon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's sources, you may play one Vole and Zerdrucken token, which is a level 4 purple Digimon with 5000 DP with blocker and retail, which is also another defensive piece in this deck. And the inheritable is opponent's turn once per turn. When any of your opponent's Digimon are deleted, you may play one level 4 or lower purple Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. That doesn't come up very often, probably because we're only playing 2 of this, and your opponent would basically have to play into something. Like you'd have to Evo into this, play the token, and then Evo into a Mega, and then your opponent would have to swing and die to that retail blocker that you have on the field in order to trigger this. Also, do appreciate that it is optional in the event that your opponent has like a Biting Crush or something set up. And then that is it. We are just playing 8 level 5s. Onto our Megas. We are playing 3 BT19 LordKnightmon. On play / when Digivolving, you may play one level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. So this is not color restrictive, so you can play literally anything in this deck that's level 4 or lower and just put it in your trash and then play it back. That does open the door for a lot more interesting techs if you're interested in that kind of thing. But I think a Rookie Floodgate is probably the best way to go. And then the opponent's turn once per turn. When any of your opponent's Digimon attack, you may change the attack target to one of your Digimon with the Royal Knight trait. So that is including itself, it is a Royal Knight, but also LordKnightmon X is a Royal Knight. So that is something to keep in mind. This is another defensive piece that the deck kind of has access to. This is a one-time redirect, and if you have like a suspended LordKnightmon X on the field, you can just redirect it into the LordKnightmon X, which is pretty cool. And then we are playing 3 BT19 LordKnightmon X, heart and soul of the deck. This is the aggro piece. This guy comes down, basically keeps your opponent from being able to ace you due to all the effects, and then hits them for big damage while outing most of their bodies on the board, if not all of them. So it does Evo for 4, or it Evos on top of LordKnightmon for 1 memory. Has collision and piercing, which is a ridiculous combination. When Digivolving, for each of your Digimon, de-Evo one of your opponent's Digimon. Then until the end of their turn, one of their Digimon can't Digivolve. So unfortunately, because of how this is worded, this is a mandatory de-Evo 1 for each of your Digimon. And you can only target one Digimon with this effect, for those of you that don't know. So if you have 5 bodies on the field, you can't just de-Evo 2 on one of your opponent's Digimon. You have to go all 5 if it's possible. Obviously, you have to stop at a rookie, but that's it. And then all turns, while LordKnightmon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's sources, all of your Digimon with Knightmon in their text gain Alliance and get plus 3000 DP. So this guy, if you have all of the effects active, is a 15,000 DP Digimon with collision, piercing, and alliance. So that means he's going to be even bigger. And if you have Cerberus X underneath him, you swing for big damage, 2 checks twice. And if your opponent has anything unsuspended on the field, they are forced to block, and you pierce through it. And if they have anything suspended, you obviously just swing into it and pierce through it. This is absolutely disgusting. Shout out to Bandai for giving us the LordKnightmon X that we deserved. This card is just super gross. And then on to our other Megas. We are obviously playing the one of Anubis from EX5. Honestly, this card should go to 0 in my opinion. We continue to get ways to recycle this guy out of the trash. So all you need to do is see him once and force your opponent to out it repeatedly. And basically, if he sticks on the field for 1 turn, your opponent is dead, in my experience. But he Evos for 4. When Digivolving / main, once per turn, you may trash up to 3 cards in your hand, then play 1 purple Digimon card from your trash with a play cost reduced by 3. For each card trash with this effect, further reduce it by 1. So you can reduce play cost by up to 6. And something to keep in mind is like you can play like your Megas, your level 5s, you can even play your level 7 off this guy. He's just absolutely gross. And to add insult to injury, your turn, not once per turn, when an effect plays one of your Digimon, delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. If this effect didn't delete, draw 1. Yeah, just an absolutely busted card. And then we are playing 2 tech level 6s. In my experience, this was the best one. I tested a few different ones, but once I put this in and tested it, I have no intention of going back. This is by far the best choice. We were playing 2 Levi X from BT15. Does Evo for 6. Spoilers though, we literally never pay that. So trash, all turns, when an effect plays an opponent's Digimon or Tamer, one of your Leviamon or Digimon with X Antibody in their sources may Digivolve into this card without paying the cost. And security attack +2, so he's a 3 check for 14,000 DP. And then when Digivolving, if your opponent has as many or more total Digimon and Tamers as you, delete one of their Tamers, then delete one of your opponent's level 3, level 5, and level 7 Digimon. If your opponent makes the mistake of triggering this in your trash, they get absolutely blown out if they don't have a 4 and a 6 on the field. Obviously, if they have just a 4 and a 6, they're kind of safe. You probably will get to pop one of their Tamers though. But then they have to deal with this guy, and if they don't, he potentially can just clear all their security in one turn if he's on top of a Cerberus X. But there are certain situations where your opponent cannot play around this. The main one is if you check one of your opponent's Tamers out of security, the Tamer plays itself out of security by an effect, so you can actually trigger this out of your trash whenever that happens. And because of turn player priority, when you Evo into this guy, you can actually pop the Tamer, assuming you have the even amount or they have more stuff on the field. You can pop the Tamer before the Tamer can trigger its on play. So that is something to know. But yeah, this is really good into purple hybrid. It's really good into mother control. I think it's best in into mother control, because anytime your opponent unmind links their Tamer at the end of the turn, you're just like, okay, boom, pop one of your Shotos, and then you have a level 5 on the field. I'm almost certain of it. I'm going to delete that guy. Now you can't ace me on your turn, LOL. And then if you can put a LordKnightmon X out on your turn, you can just swing twice, clear 2 of their mothers if they gave them blocker, and then you can swing with this guy freely if they don't have any more mothers on the field, because he's going to be bigger than anything else. But that is it. We are playing 9 level 6s. And then we are playing 1 level 7, Death Xmon from BT9. Does cost 20 to hard play or 6 to Evo into. However, when this card would be played, reduce the play cost by 3 for each of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers. That means if your opponent has 7 or more permanent things on the field, it is free to play. Really disgusting. On play / when Digivolving, de-Evo 1 all of your opponent's Digimon, then delete all of their level 4 or lower Digimon. And then end of opponent's turn, once per turn, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. But that is it, just 1 level 7. Onto our options. We are playing 4 X Antibody Protoform from EX5. Does cost 0 memory. While you have a Digimon, you may ignore this card's color requirements. Securities, add this card to the hand. Main, one of your Digimon without X Antibody in its sources may Evo into a Digimon card with the X Antibody trait in your hand, with the Evo cost reduced by 1 if it did place this card as the bottom Digivolution card. Name, it's also treated as X Antibody. And then the inheritable is all turns when this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by one of your effects. From this Digimon's sources, return 1 Digimon card to the hand and place 1 X Antibody on top of the stack, of your security stack. So once you see 1 or 2 of these, as long as your opponent can't trash your security, you're always going to get these back. And it's going to make it that much harder for your opponent to kill you, because you're effectively just recovering for free anytime they out one of your bodies, or they just die to battle or whatever. I will say, I've had people ask, this is 100% necessary to play in this deck. If you want to play it optimally, you need to play 4 of this. I know it sucks. Currently, as I record this, I think the cheapest Protoform on TCG Player is like $64, somewhere around there. It's like 60 plus. That does suck. Hopefully this gets reprinted in the not too distant future. It's not getting reprinted in the LM set as of right now. But you need to play 4 of this, because the only card in the deck that searches this is Gabu X, which is also a 1 of. Everything else you play bot decks this. All of our other search cards bot deck this, and you need to see it in order to get most of your really good effects to go off. For the rest of our options, we are playing 3 Wisdom Training, promo 108, 2 cost option, main, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 purple card among them to the hand, put the rest on the bottom of the deck, then put this card in your battle area. Main, delay. You can trash this card. One of your Digimon may Digivolve into a purple Digimon card in your hand for its Evo cost and reduce it by 2. And securities, place this card in the battle area. So this card searches all of our options besides Protoform, like I said, and our Digimon besides the Pillowmons. It does search Death X. Death X is half purple, so our search cards can search Death X, which is kind of cool. And then we are playing 3 Purple Memory Boost, promo 40, 3 cost option. Main, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add a purple Digimon card among them, put the rest on the bottom of the deck, then put it in your battle area. Main, delay, trash it, gain 2 memory. Security, place this card in the battle area. These are your consistency cards. Most of the time, you will Evo up in your raising area to either a rookie or a level 4, and then just play these cards out to set yourself up to pop off on your opponent once you're ready. The only level 5 that I've ever Evo'd into my raising area is this guy. This guy's the only one that I feel comfortable Evoing and raising, because once he's out there, you can just promote and Evo into this guy for free and then just pop off on your opponent for that much cheaper. The other level 5s, you really want to get their when digivolving effects, so you would prefer to play these out with a level 4 or a rookie and raising. And that is it. We are playing 10 options. That is it for the deck. I will be posting IRL gameplay content in the near future, and once those go live, they will be in the pinned comment below. By the way, we do have a community Discord now that will also be in the pinned comment below, so please join if you're interested. But if you guys have any questions or anything I didn't address, feel free to leave them down in the comments. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content, want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.